All right, let's talk about something you use every single second of your life, but that most of us, myself included, have thought about in kind of the wrong way. We're talking about energy. And I promise you, in the next few minutes, you're going to start seeing the entire world, from your morning coffee to just walking up the stairs, in a completely different and honestly, a much cooler light. Let's dive in. It all kicks off with this really simple but super frustrating puzzle. We've all been there, right? You're holding a heavy grocery bag, your arm is shaking, your muscles are on fire, and you're getting genuinely tired. But you're not actually moving. The bag isn't going anywhere. From a physics point of view, it seems like nothing is really happening. So why on earth does it feel like so much work? This little question, it turns out, is the key to understanding everything. So to solve that puzzle, here's our roadmap for today. First, we've got to figure out what energy actually is. Then, we're going to build this amazing mental model, the energy bank account. We'll look at how transactions get made, that's work, and the unavoidable fee, the tax. We'll see gravity in a new way as an invisible rubber band, and talk about power, which is all about how fast you spend your energy. And finally, we'll turn you into a full-blown energy accountant. Okay, let's dive right into part one. Before we can even open our new bank account, we need to get crystal clear on what the currency actually is. You know, we throw the word energy around all the time, but there's this massive gap between how we talk about it and what it really means in the language of the universe. So let's clear that up right now.
You know how we talk about it? You might wake up and say, "Oh, I have no energy today." Or the opposite, "Wow, I'm so energetic." And we all know what that means. But to a physicist, that's not quite right. Energy isn't a mood or a feeling. It's a fundamental quantity. The definition is actually way simpler, but the rules that govern it, they're much, much stricter.
So here it is. This is probably the single most important definition we're going to talk about. In physics, energy is simply the ability to cause change. That's it. It's that simple. If you think about money as the ability to buy stuff, then energy is the ability to do stuff, to make something move, to make it hotter, to change its shape. It is, quite literally, the universe's currency for making anything happen at all. And that brings us to the real heart of this. You know, trying to think about energy in terms of joules or calories, it can feel really abstract, like you're reading a dense financial report. So we're going to scrap that. Instead, we're going to use an analogy that makes all of this click into place almost instantly: the universal bank account. This is the big idea. I want you to imagine, right now, that every single object in the universe, that cup on your desk, your car, the sun, you, has its own bank account. But instead of money, it's filled with energy. And just like a real bank account, this energy can be saved, it can be spent, and it can be transferred. I'm telling you, once you start to see the world this way, it all starts to make sense. Now, any good bank account has at least two main parts, right? You've got your savings account for the long term and your checking account for daily spending. Energy works the exact same way. Physicists call stored energy potential energy. But for us, that's just your savings account. It's the energy that's socked away, waiting to be used. And the energy of motion, that's called kinetic energy. For us, that's our checking account. It's the cash being spent right now to make things happen. This little table really breaks it down. Look at the real-life example. A car that's just parked at the top of a steep hill. It's not moving, but because of its position, its height, it has a huge balance in its energy savings account. That's its potential energy. The second it starts rolling down that hill, well, that's a withdrawal. It's transferring all that saved up energy into its checking account and spending it as the energy of motion. Parked car is savings, rolling car is spending. Simple as that. Okay, so if we have these energy savings and checking accounts, how do we actually move the money around? How do you make a deposit or withdrawal? Well, in physics, the act of making a transaction is called work. And here's the kicker. Just like with a real bank, there's often a transaction fee, a kind of unavoidable tax that we have to pay to the universe. This short little sentence is so important. In our everyday lives, work means being busy or trying hard. In physics, it means none of that. It has one very specific definition. Work is the official term for an energy transaction. If you have done work, it means you have successfully transferred energy from one account to another. That's it. It's about results, not effort. And this is the perfect way to understand that difference. Imagine you decide you're going to push against a solid brick wall. You push, you strain, you sweat for an hour. You feel completely exhausted. You put in a ton of effort, right? But did the wall move? No. So from a physics perspective, you did zero, and I mean zero, work on the wall. No energy was deposited into its account. Now, compare that to just lifting your coffee cup. Effortless. But because you applied a force and the cup moved, you did work. You made a successful energy transfer. So the secret ingredient, the one thing you absolutely need for work to happen, is movement.
And suddenly, we're back at our original puzzle, that heavy bag. Here's the solution. When you're just standing there holding it, you are doing absolutely no physics work on the bag because the bag isn't moving through a distance. So why are you tired? Because inside your arm, a biological war is raging. Your muscle fibers are frantically contracting and relaxing, over and over, just burning through your body's chemical energy to fight gravity. You are making millions of tiny internal energy transactions, but the net deposit into the bag's account is zero.
So that brings up a really good question then. Wait a minute. If I'm burning all this energy from the breakfast I ate, but none of it is going into the bag, where is it all going? The books have to balance, right? It can't just vanish. Well, you're right. And this is where that universal text comes into play. This is actually kind of shocking when you see it laid out like this. Our bodies are really inefficient engines. For almost every energy transaction we make, like contracting a muscle, a whopping 75% of the energy we use is just lost as waste heat. That's the tax. The universe takes its cut. So that feeling of getting warm, of sweating when you're holding that heavy bag or exercising, that's the receipt. You are literally feeling the 75% tax being collected on all those millions of tiny muscle transactions. So we've talked about these energy savings accounts. Now let's zone in on one of the most common ones in the entire universe, one you deal with every single day, the special account managed by gravity. Here's a really great way to picture this. Imagine there's this giant, invisible rubber band that connects every single object, you, your chair, everything, to the center of the earth. When you lift something up, like when you climb a flight of stairs, you are doing work to stretch that rubber band. When you get to the top, you now have stored energy, potential energy, just like a taut, stretched rubber band. And if you were to say, trip and fall, snap, the rubber band yanks you back down, instantly converting all of that stored height energy from savings back into active motion energy in your checking account. Okay, we're at the final piece of our puzzle. Because, it's one thing to know how much energy is in an account. It's a completely different thing to understand how fast you can spend it. In banking, we call this cash flow. In physics, this concept is called power. This is the perfect example. Let's go back to climbing those stairs. The total amount of work you have to do, the total energy transaction to lift your body to the next floor, is exactly the same whether you walk or sprint. The final bill is identical. So why does sprinting feel so much harder? It's because you're spending the same amount of energy in a much, much shorter amount of time. You're demanding a huge rate of withdrawal from your energy account. That's high power. Walking is low power. It's not about the size of the check you write, it's about how fast you need the bank to cash it. And that's it. With these tools, the bank account model, work as a transaction, the heat tax, and power as cash flow, you are officially equipped. You are no longer just a passive observer of the world. You're ready to be an energy accountant with the ability to track the flow of the universe's most basic currency. And of course, every good accountant knows the number one golden rule of the bank. It's called the first law of thermodynamics, and it's beautiful in its simplicity. Energy can never be created out of nothing, and it can never be destroyed. All you can ever do is move it from one account to another or change its form, like from chemical savings in food to active motion, which then pays its tax as heat. The total balance sheet of the entire universe always stays the same. And once you know that rule, you will start seeing these transactions everywhere. When your phone gets warm while it's charging, that's not a flaw. That's the tax man. That's the fee for the transaction of storing electrical energy in the battery. A car braking to a stop is just converting its massive motion account balance into a massive heat account balance in the brake pads. Even a hot cup of coffee cooling on your desk, that's just a simple energy transfer from the coffee's account to the account of the air in the room. So I'll leave you with a final challenge, a little thought experiment. The next time you see a car parked on a hill, just stop for a second and put on your energy accountant hat. Ask yourself, okay, where is the energy stored here? Where are the savings accounts? And you'll see two big ones, the height savings from gravity's rubber band and the chemical savings in the gasoline. And then ask, how could it do work? How could it make a withdrawal? Well, it could cash in the gravity savings by rolling down the hill, or cash in the chemical savings by starting the engine. The world around us is just this constant, incredible series of energy transactions, energy flowing and transforming, paying its little taxes along the way. But the amazing thing is, it's not a mystery to you anymore. You have the mental model to see these invisible transfers happening all around you. You can finally read the receipts. So I'm curious, what's an energy transaction you've noticed since we started talking? Let me know in the comments. I'd love to check them out. And I'll be breaking down more topics just like this one. Thanks for watching.